Good morning. I'm a bit late. So I've been on my walk, went to a friend's house for a birthday brunch, and now I'm walking back through the park. Let's show you. The Big Brother advertising balloon is just over there. I'm in a different place from normal because I didn't stop at my coffee place. And hello, Colleen. Hi, everybody. I am Brian of London, wearing a silly hat today. It's kind of cold. I hope the wind has died down a bit. And I guess people are tuning in to find out what I think of the deal of the century. We'll get to Brexit and impeachment later. Once again, I'm Brian of London. This is the park in Tel Aviv. Hayakon Park. Beautiful park in the sort of north of the old centre of Tel Aviv. Okay, deal of the century. I started reading it. Well, actually, I've read quite a bit of it. And I got stuck on the very first page because the very first page revealed to me, firstly, one, that the primary force behind this deal is Jared Kushner. I can see that. I can tell from the way that the report is written. He obviously actually physically wrote quite a bit of this, I think, or put forth his ideas to someone who typed it. And because they marry up very closely with what he said in interviews, and I can pretty much even guess some of the 25 books he claims to have read, which I'm sure he has read, actually. And I can see the influences of people I know on what's in that deal. Obviously, for Israel, for Jews, for Israelis, for people who believe that Judea and Samaria are the heartland of the Jewish country, it's a fantastic plan. Of course we'll like it. But that's not to say, that it's one-sided. The point is, it doesn't matter what plan you would ever come with. The other side is not looking for a plan because they were never looking for a state. They were never looking for self-determination. They had decades, centuries even, when they could have established a so-called Palestinian state. That was never the point. The need for a Palestinian state did not arise until Jews were sovereign again in the land. But on that very, very first page, what it revealed about Jared's way of looking at Islam is the same old tired nonsense, that if you come with economic reasons, that they will take the rational, what we believe from the Western point of view is the rational view that they should put down their arms, stop jihad and stop fighting. That doesn't work. I mean, we've got a century of following that ideal, the ideal that land for peace would ever work. And that's right there on the first page. So I get that kind of invalidates the whole thing, except that it's a very, very much more pragmatic deal maker's deal than anything I've ever seen before in the sort of Oslo school, with sort of, because it lays out something that the Israelis, that we can do. We can annex certain territories. We can say this is ours. And it totally and utterly removes the Green Line and the 67 borders, which were never the 67 borders. They were the 49 Armistice Line. They just take that out of the equation. They say that that's not really relevant anymore, that land captured in a defensive war is not illegal. There's no illegal occupation. There's a dispute. We have to settle the dispute. We can compromise to achieve a settlement. But if we don't see a compromise from the other side, if they persist in trying to murder us, then it removes our necessity to compromise and to give more away. And the report clearly acknowledges how much Israel, no nation has ever given up as much as we've given up in terms of land won in a defensive war. I'm worrying about the wind. I hope it's not too bad. I'm not seeing comments, so obviously you can hear me. So the deal of the century, and now, in the days afterwards, when Benny Gantz announced that he would bring a vote into the Knesset, thanks Colleen, a vote in the Knesset to actually start annexing stuff this week, we got a bit of whoa from everybody, from Pompeo and from the ambassador and from Trump and I think it at least, And then you get the EU people complaining about it. Well, what deal did you put forward? You know, there was never going to be a two-sided negotiation because the Palestinians have refused to negotiate. They had 8 years of Obama in which they pretty much refused to negotiate. They got huge concessions even while refusing to negotiate because we did a settlement freeze and so on. And so, EU, write your own report, write your own plan, bring it to the table. You know, that's all the Americans did. They interviewed a bunch of people and they put a plan on the table. Good luck. EU could do the same, but they can't because they're divided and they're not really united and they're just, the EU's an inefficient nonsense mess. Anyway, that's enough on the plan, and I suppose that leads me into Brexit and dear old Nigel and that wonderful flag-waving stunt as his final act in the EU Parliament, and them cutting the mic off. And that is the reason why Britain doesn't need to be in the EU. What is the point? So today is Brexit Day, and that seems to coincide with, you know, if McConnell can garner the correct votes and they don't come with this nonsense of wanting to listen to more witnesses, it looks like impeachment for Trump will wrap up and Brexit will happen, and you know we're going into a Shabbat, and then we come out of Shabbat, and then Israel has never been more politically united. I mean, we're about to go into a general election here, but the left, as represented by Benny Gantz and Netanyahu and so on, and the right, Netanyahu, everybody except the lunatic left is on board with this same plan, which includes kind of annexation, and it includes, hundreds of thousands of Jews living in and continuing to live in the Shtachim, the areas of Judea and Samaria. People call them the settlements, Judea, Shomron, and the West Bank. So, and you've got Britain coming out of the EU tonight. I mean, I know that there's a year at least of negotiations and all of that other stuff, but it does seem that populist options are winning everywhere, and that the Democrats in America are completely unelectable, if you ask me. I mean, Biden is a senile joke. Sanders is a communist. His people are complete Jew-hating, Israel-hating, Stalin lovers. I mean, if you've seen any of the videos from James O'Keefe, which have had no play in the mainstream media, which is so telling. I mean, if I don't like analogies. Scott Adams is correct that analogies are a very poor form of persuasion, but I'll use one. I mean, if Trump supporters were saying neo-Nazi stuff, which would be exactly the same as the fascist, Stalinist, let's put them all in gulags, and gulags weren't so bad, which is what, you know, O'Keefe has had four people in campaign offices. And the point is not that O'Keefe uncovers them, but when they are uncovered, Bernie does not disavow. Nobody on the campaign disavows. Nobody cuts these people off. And in fact, half of Bernie Sanders' campaign staff have removed themselves from Twitter. The Democrats are very, very dangerous, and I hope people are getting to see this. So, you know, we're on a populist wave. I'll just be Debbie Downer here for a little bit, which is that this coronavirus, whilst it might not kill many millions of people, economically this could be very, very damaging. I think people do not understand how the supply chains of this world operates, and when the cheap stuff that comes out of China starts to not be available, I don't know what's going to happen with our consumerist consuming world and the West. I'm a bit wary of what the economic damage will be, but we'll wait to see. Anyway, I missed last week, so this has to make up for that. Generally, we've got great things going on. I think Trump is surging. I liked his peace plan. Israel will do well to follow it. The Palestinians are irrelevant. They will continue to fail to take any opportunity because they don't want a state. There's a very, very good two-stage plan that I'm reading that someone's posted, and I'm going to say more about that when I've read it, and maybe even interview the guy who's written it. Very, very interesting. Anyway, lots to say, lots to do. keep your eyes on Brexit and the impeachment trial tonight. And I'll see you all again the next time. By the way, I'm Brian of London. Thanks very much for tuning in and watching me. You can find all my stuff at brianoflondon.me and on Steam. Videos will go up on 3 Speak later, which I still love. And if you want to support me, chip in. There's lots of crypto options. You can find a PayPal option if you like. It does help. I don't actually earn any money from this kind of stuff except by what people kindly send me, which they do from time to time. So thank you to anyone who's ever done that, and thank you very much for anyone who does. Brian of London here in the park, about to head home.